I need to be honest with you about something that drives women crazy. We flirt, we send signals, we create openings and drop hints and do everything short of spelling it out. And somehow, you still don't see it. And I'm not blaming you. I'm telling you, the game is rigged because female flirting doesn't look like what you've been taught to recognize. It's subtle, it's deniable, it's designed to give her an exit if you don't respond. Which means if you're waiting for obvious, you'll be waiting forever. As a woman, I know exactly what these signals look like from the inside. And once I show you these 20 signs, you'll finally understand what's been happening right under your nose. 1. She asks you to repeat something she definitely heard. You're mid-sentence saying something completely ordinary, maybe about your weekend or a show you've been watching, and she tilts her head slightly. Wait, what did you say? And here's the thing. She heard you perfectly. The room wasn't loud. You weren't mumbling. She just wanted to hear you say it again. Most guys take this at face value and repeat themselves without a second thought. But what's really happening is she's buying time. She's extending the moment because she doesn't want it to end yet. Asking you to repeat yourself is her way of keeping you talking, keeping your voice in her ears, keeping your attention fixed on her for a few seconds longer. It's a small move, but it's deliberate. When a woman does this, she's not confused. She's savoring. 2, she mentions a place she's never been but wants to go. You're talking about travel or food or maybe nothing related at all. And suddenly she says something like, I've always wanted to check out that little Italian place on Ninth Street. Or, I've never actually been to the coast, which is ridiculous. She drops it casually like it's just a passing thought, but it's not. What she's actually doing is handing you an opportunity without making it obvious. She's not going to say, take me there. That feels too forward, too vulnerable. So instead, she plants a seed and watches to see if you pick it up. This is her way of testing whether you're paying attention and whether you're brave enough to act on a hint. Most men hear this and just nod along. Oh yeah, that place is supposed to be good. And the moment passes, but the man who says we should go sometime just passed a test he didn't know he was taking. Here's what makes this sign so easy to miss. She's not asking you for anything directly. She's creating an opening and hoping you'll walk through it. If you let these moments pass without action, she'll eventually stop creating them, and you'll never know how many doors quietly closed while you were busy agreeing that yes, the coast really is beautiful this time of year. 3. She tells you about a dream she had recently. This one catches most guys off guard because it seems so random. You're in a normal conversation and suddenly she says, I had the weirdest dream last night. And then she actually tells you about it. Maybe you were in it, maybe you weren't. Either way, she's sharing something that feels strangely personal. Dreams are intimate territory. They're unfiltered, sometimes embarrassing, often nonsensical. When a woman chooses to share one with you, she's not just making conversation. She's letting you into a part of her mind that most people never see. She's testing whether you'll receive it, whether you'll be curious, playful, or dismissive. Most men respond with something flat like, that's crazy, and move on. They miss the vulnerability underneath. But if you lean in, if you ask follow-up questions, if you tease her about it, if you make her feel like that strange little window into her subconscious was worth opening, you're showing her something important. You're showing her that the unpolished parts of her are welcome with you. And that's exactly what she's trying to figure out. I want to mention something that connects to everything we're talking about here, how you show up when she's testing you. Because here's what most men don't realize. When she drops one of these signals, when she's watching to see if you'll catch it, she's not just reading your words, she's reading your energy. Whether you seem sharp or scattered, whether you feel like a man who's fully present or one who's just getting through the day, and if you've been running on empty lately, if you felt like a faded version of the guy you used to be, that's not something she misses. That's something she feels. That's why I've partnered with Axo Supplements. Their men's vitality formula supports energy, stamina, blood flow, and the kind of grounded presence that makes her feel like she has your full attention, not just the leftovers. 2 tablets in the morning, no jitters, no crash, and by the time you're with her, you're not foggy. You're not half there. You're locked in. I got you 20% off, but only for the first 100 orders. Links in the description and pinned comment, and it automatically applies at checkout. If you've been feeling off lately, don't let another week go by wondering why you're missing moments you used to catch. Now, let's talk about what it means when she reaches over and touches you without asking first. 4. She adjusts something on you without permission. You're standing there talking and she reaches over. Maybe she fixes your collar, brushes something off your shoulder, or straightens a button you didn't realize was crooked. It happens fast. She doesn't ask first. Here's what most guys think. She's being helpful, neat, considerate, and they move on without giving it another thought. But this isn't about your collar. This is about her finding a socially acceptable reason to touch you. She needed an excuse to cross into your personal space, and your slightly uneven shirt gave her one. Touch is how women test safety before escalation. She's gauging how you respond to her hands on you, whether you stiffen up, lean in, or barely notice. If you react warmly, she registers that as permission to get closer later. If you flinch or step back, she recalibrates. This tiny adjustment was never about fabric. It was reconnaissance. 5. She brings up an inside joke from weeks ago. You made an offhand comment 3 weeks ago. Something dumb, maybe even something you forgot the moment it left your mouth. And tonight, she references it out of nowhere. She laughs like it just happened. You're half confused because you barely remember saying it. Most men feel flattered for a second and then let it pass. But here's what they're missing. She's been holding on to that moment. It lived in her head long after the conversation ended. And bringing it up now is her way of showing you that your words stayed with her without saying it directly. When a woman resurrects an inside joke, she's signaling that your shared history matters to her. She wants you to recognize that you two have something other people don't, something private, something that belongs just to you. If you respond with confusion or brush past it, she'll feel the distance. But if you play along, if you build on it, you're confirming that this little world you've created together is real. 6. She asks what you're doing later with no follow-up plan. You're wrapping up a conversation and she asks, "So what are you doing tonight?" Or "Any plans this weekend?" But here's the strange part. She doesn't have a suggestion ready. She's not inviting you somewhere. She's just asking. Most guys answer honestly, probably just staying in or nothing. Much. And then wait for her to fill the silence. When she doesn't, they assume the conversation is over. They miss what just happened entirely. She asked because she wanted to know if there was room for her. She was checking whether your schedule had a gap she might fit into, but she's not going to invite herself. She's waiting for you to connect the dots and say, "Why? What did you have in mind?" Or, "You should come over." The question was the opening. The next move is yours. 7. She disagrees with you on something small and unimportant. You mention a movie you liked, a restaurant you think is overrated, or an opinion about something that truly does not matter, and she immediately pushes back. Not aggressively, just enough to create a little friction. Here's what most men misread. They think she's being difficult or contrary. Some get defensive, others back down immediately. Both responses miss the point. She's not trying to win an argument. She's trying to engage you. Disagreement creates energy. It gives the conversation texture. She wants to see how you handle a little resistance, whether you get rattled, whether you stay playful, whether you can hold your position without making it weird. The disagreement itself doesn't matter. What matters is what it reveals about you. When she argues about pineapple on pizza, she's not passionate about toppings. She's testing your frame. 8. She sends you something that reminded her of you. You're going about your day, and your phone lights up. It's her. A meme, a song, an article, a random photo of something you mentioned once. Just a quick message. "This made me think of you." Most guys reply with a laughing emoji or a quick thanks. Then they move on. They don't realize what this message actually cost her to send. She had to notice something, connect it to you, decide it was worth sharing, and then follow through, knowing it might seem random, knowing you might not. Respond, knowing she's revealing that you occupy space in her mind even when you're not around. That message wasn't casual. It was a small act of vulnerability dressed up as something light. She's telling you she thinks about you. The question is whether you'll notice and what you'll do with that information. 9. She asks about a hobby she has zero interest in. You've mentioned before that you're into something. Maybe it's climbing or building computers or some sport she's never watched. And out of nowhere, she asks you about it. Not politely, genuinely, like she actually wants to understand. Here's the thing. She probably doesn't care about the hobby itself. She cares about you. And asking about something you love is her way of getting closer to the version of you that lights up when you talk about it. Most men get excited and launch into explanations. That's fine, but don't miss what's underneath her question. She's not gathering information. She's making an investment. She wants to understand what matters to you because she's trying to figure out whether she fits into your world. When a woman asks about your niche interest with real curiosity in her eyes, she's not being polite. She's studying the blueprint. 10. She mentions she's free this weekend before you ask. This one seems obvious once you see it, but most men walk right past it. You're talking about plans or maybe nothing in particular. And she casually mentions, I don't have anything going on Saturday. Or, my weekend is totally empty for once. She didn't have to tell you that. There was no question that required this information. She volunteered it, and that's the whole point. She's handing you an invitation without formally inviting you anywhere. She's making space in her schedule visible because she wants you to fill it, but she's not going to ask you to hang out. That's your job. This is her showing you the door is open. Most guys hear this and say something like, nice, you should relax, completely missing that she wasn't making a statement about her calendar. She was giving you permission to make a move. If this moment passes without you suggesting something, she'll quietly file it away as another missed signal, and eventually she'll stop leaving doors open for someone who keeps walking past them. 11. She criticizes another woman who approached you. You're out somewhere, and another woman strikes up a conversation with you. Maybe a waitress who lingered a little too long. Maybe someone at a party who touched your arm while laughing at something you said. Later, she makes a comment. Something small. She was trying really hard, or that was a bit much, don't you think? Most guys hear this and think she's just making an observation. Some even defend the other woman, completely missing what just happened underneath. She's not critiquing a stranger's social skills. She's marking territory she hasn't officially claimed yet. That comment was her way of saying, I noticed her noticing you and I didn't like it, without having to admit she cares that much. When a woman criticizes another woman's approach toward you, she's revealing that she's already thinking of you as hers. Even if neither of you has said it out loud, the criticism isn't about the other woman. It's about what you mean to her. If you're here because you're serious about reading situations better, comment sharp below so I can see who's actually putting this stuff into practice. 12. She remembers your order before you say it. You're at a coffee shop together or grabbing food, and before you can speak, she says, You're getting the usual, right? Or she orders for you without asking. She remembers exactly how you take your coffee. She knows you don't like onions. Most guys feel a small flicker of, Oh, that's nice, and then let it dissolve. They don't realize what that memory represents. Remembering your preferences requires attention over time. She's been cataloging these details, not because she has to, but because she wants to. Every small preference she files away is evidence that you've become important enough to study. When she recalls your order without prompting, she's not showing off. She's showing you that she pays attention to the things that make you comfortable. That kind of care doesn't happen accidentally. 13. She tells you that you smell good out of nowhere. You're standing close to her, maybe not even doing anything notable, and she suddenly says it, You smell really good. There was no prompt, no reason for her to mention it. She just did. Most guys say thanks and move on, treating it like any other compliment. But this one is different. Smell is primal. It's intimate. To comment on how someone smells, you have to be close enough to notice and comfortable enough to admit you were paying attention at that distance. She's telling you that your physical presence registered on a sensory level. She usually keeps private. This isn't like complimenting your shirt. This is her acknowledging that something about your body affected her. When a woman volunteers this observation, she's already imagining being closer. 14. She walks slower when you're next to her. You're walking together somewhere, maybe to a car, maybe down a street, maybe just across a room, and you notice she's not in any rush. Her pace drops. She's half a step behind where she'd normally be. Most guys don't register this at all. They're focused on the destination, not the journey. But here's what she's doing. She's stretching the moment. She doesn't want to arrive yet because arriving means the walk ends. Slowing down is her way of buying more time beside you without having to explain why. She's not tired. She's not distracted. She's savoring proximity and hoping you won't notice enough to question it. When a woman decelerates next to you, she's telling you with her body that wherever you're headed matters less than the fact that you're heading there together. 15. She asks if you notice something different about her. She shows up and at some point asks, "Do you notice anything different?" Maybe it's her hair. Maybe it's something subtler. New earrings, a different lip color, a detail most people would miss entirely. Most guys panic. They scan her face desperately, trying to identify what changed. Some guess wrong. Others admit they don't see it. Both responses miss the deeper question underneath. She's not quizzing you on observation skills. She's asking whether you see her closely enough to notice the details. She made a change, probably small, probably deliberate, and she wants to know if you're paying the kind of attention that catches it. The specific change matters less than what your answer reveals. If you notice, she feels seen. If you don't, she wonders whether you're really looking at all. This question is never actually about hair. It's about whether she registers with you at the level she hopes she does. The fact you're here at this point means something's landing. Show your brain you heard it by hitting like, then subscribe and tap the bell so you're here early every time we break down the next piece. 16. She brings up a conversation you forgot you had. You're talking and she references something you told her months ago. Maybe a story about your childhood. Maybe a complaint you had about work. Something you said once and never thought about again, but she remembers it perfectly. Most guys feel momentarily surprised and then let the conversation continue. They don't stop to consider what her memory means. She's been carrying pieces of your conversations long after they ended. The things you said didn't evaporate when you stopped talking. They stayed with her. They mattered enough to store. When she brings up a forgotten exchange, she's revealing that your words have weight in her world, that she returns to them, thinks about them, holds on to them. This isn't casual recall. This is evidence of investment. 17. She gets quieter when someone else joins you both. You've been talking alone, maybe at a party, maybe at work, and suddenly a third person enters the conversation and something shifts. She talks less. Her energy pulls back. She's still there, but she's not the same. Most guys assume she's just being polite, or maybe she doesn't like the new person. They rarely consider the real reason. What changed is the intimacy. When it was just the two of you, there was a container around the conversation, something private, something that belonged only to you both. The third person broke that seal. Her quietness isn't rudeness or shyness, it's disappointment. She preferred the version of the conversation where you were hers alone. When a woman withdraws after someone else appears, she's mourning the moment that just ended, and she's hoping you notice the difference too. 18. She asks your opinion on something she's already decided. She tells you she's thinking about taking a trip, changing her hair, applying for a new job, and then asks what you think. You give your honest answer. But here's what you slowly realize. She was never actually undecided. Most guys feel flattered that she asked, then confused when she does exactly what she was going to do anyway. Some feel ignored, but they're missing the point entirely. She didn't ask because she needed your guidance. She asked because she wanted you involved in her decision. Even symbolically, including you in the process, is her way of weaving you into her life. She wants to know your take not because it will change her mind, but because your opinion matters to her. Emotionally. When a woman asks for your input on a decision she's already made, she's not being manipulative. She's making space for you in corners of her life she doesn't have to share. The question itself is the intimacy. Your answer is just confirmation that you're willing to be there. 19. She tells you a secret that isn't really a secret. She leans in a little and says something like, "Okay, don't tell anyone," and then she shares something that isn't actually that secret. Maybe it's a mild opinion she holds, or something slightly embarrassing, or a small confession that wouldn't shock anyone. Most guys laugh along and treat it as a funny moment. They don't realize the architecture underneath. She's creating conspiracy. She's building a private world between you, something that belongs only to the two of you, even if the content itself is harmless. The secret doesn't need to be real for the intimacy to be real. What matters is that she chose you to tell. She's testing whether you can hold something she gives you, whether you can be trusted with pieces of her, even small ones. Every pseudo-secret is a rehearsal for the real ones that might come later. If you receive this moment with warmth, she files you away as safe, and safety is the foundation of everything that follows. 20. She says your name more than she needs to. Listen closely the next time she talks to you. Notice how often your name appears. At the beginning of sentences, in the middle of stories, at the end of questions, more than conversation requires, more than makes grammatical sense. Most guys don't hear it because they're focused on content, not patterns. But this habit reveals something she probably doesn't even realize she's doing. Saying your name is a form of verbal touch. It creates closeness without physical contact. It signals that you're not just anyone in the conversation. You're you specifically, and she wants you to know. She knows that your name in her mouth is a small claim, a tiny act of ownership, a way of making the moment more personal than it needs to be. When a woman overuses your name, she's savoring it. She likes how it feels to say, and she's hoping somewhere beneath her awareness that you'll notice how often she reaches for